Jia, a 32-year-old out-of-work freelancer, which means unemployed, is unhappy. She is making food for the upcoming guests while her mom and dad are watching a video of their grandson. Soon, Jia's sister arrives with her family. Her mom hugs her granddaughter while Jia's sister, Jimin, looks tired and wants to rest. And Jimin's husband is carrying their second baby. Jia watches all this from the shadows. Jia comes out with a flower print apron in her hand and greets Jimin with a fake smile. Jimin mocks Jia's single status, saying everything looks great on Jia, even this apron, and now all she needs to do this year is walk down the aisle. This hurts Jia, but she keeps her smile on her face and asks Jimin to put on the apron. Her smile starts to turn evil, and suddenly Jismon smacks her on the head. This angers Jia, saying she is doing everything. Now it's time to change the shifts. Just then, Jimin's husband announces that Jimin is tired and hints that she might be pregnant with their third child, a celebration news for the family. Jia goes outside to smoke with a real evil smile she was hiding. She is angry at Jimin, who despite being younger than her is introducing guys to Jia. Suddenly, someone approaches Jia and comments about her foul mouth. This guy is eating chicken breast in the smoking area. This puzzles Jia, and she thinks him a weirdo. Jia asks him who he is. The guy tells Jia he is her next-door neighbor Minchul, who wore headphones. At first, Jia doesn't recognize him, but suddenly it clicks. He was a scrawny gamer kid who had changed a lot. Minchul thinks he has not changed that much, but Jia shouts that he has changed a lot and what kind of weirdo eats chicken breast in a smoking area. Minchul tells Jia there isn't any law that forbids eating chicken breast in a smoking area. But Jia tells him to eat it at home, and Minchul tells her if he eats it at home, his parents will keep giving him side eyes because he can't eat Lunar New Year food due to its too many calories. Minchul is 32 years old, just like Jia, and lives in the same building. So they are childhood friends. Jia reminisces that Minchul is also 32, just like her. According to Jia, back then it was a stretch to even call him a friend. He was a nerd who didn't get along with others and didn't talk much. But at least he was able to read the room. But now there is no point in reminiscing about this because Jia herself is the black sheep of the family who has no place to go. Also, she is 32, single and unemployed. On the other hand, Minchul, also 32, is a programmer at a well-known company and an assistant manager. Also good-looking. Jia, once again unemployed, gets scolded just for breathing at home but can't leave the house because she has nowhere to go, and her current wish is that the earth splits in half tomorrow morning. Now she realizes she is actually screwed. Minchul asks Jia about her doings, but she dodges this question with silly answers and asks Minchul about his daily life. Minchul's parents want him to get married and have children. They even sign him up on a marriage service site which charges a fee of 5 million won, which is about $5,000. Jia says her parents haven't gone that far, but just realized they don't have enough money, or they would kick her out without a second thought. Suddenly, Jia suggests to Minchul, as they both are screwed, why not get married? Minchul is shocked. She proposes that since they both are getting ragged because they are not married, if they get married, everything will be solved. She explains it will be a win-win situation for both. Not seeing any reaction from Minchul, Jia gets nervous, but is left shocked. Just in the next moment, Minchul meets Jia's dad, both get married, and go on a honeymoon. On the honeymoon night, Minchul comes out of the shower. Jia is drinking a soda on the bed, and suddenly, reality hits her. She is married to Minchul and on her honeymoon in another country. Jia realizes it's her first night on their honeymoon. She pinches herself and hopes she will wake up, but it's not a dream. She takes a peek at Minchul, who is wearing his night suit and has a perfect body. Minchul starts looking for something in his bag. Jia asks him what he is looking for. Minchul tells Jia he is looking for something he packed before, which will help them have a good first night. Jia gets shocked, thinking he meant making the first night good in a different way, and thinks Minchul is talking about a condom. Jia gets nervous because this is too sudden for her. Minchul calls her, and Jia shouts she is not ready. Minchul is surprised with earplugs in his hands and tells Jia he sometimes snores, so the earplugs will help her sleep peacefully. Saying this, Minchul goes to sleep. Jia is surprised by all of this, but then she just puts the earplug in her ears and goes to sleep. The next day, Jia wants to keep their honeymoon like this, but is also cautious that it can turn out in ways that might cause fights for couples on their first day of the honeymoon. So Jia thinks carefully about what to wear by spreading clothes on the bed. She wants something stylish yet simple. Just then, Minchul comes out totally ready for their honeymoon. Seeing Minchul dressing, Jia gets angry at him. Minchul is even wearing socks with sandals. Minchul feels comfortable in these and tells Jia no one is going to look at them, but Jia will be looking. Jia takes Minchul with her. They go shopping. Jia also doesn't know much about fashion but thinks everything will look good on him. Minchul comes out. Jia claps for him without seeing his dressing but gets shocked when she sees. Minchul tells her with the vibrant colors he will not be run over by a car. Jia realizes to Minchul clothes concept is like animal camouflage. She removes these clothes and chooses this dressing for him. Vacation outfit, Jia version. Minchul is not sure whether it looks good on him or not, but Jia compliments him and tells him it looks good. Hearing this, Minchul asks the employee for 7 of the same shirts. which embarrasses Jia. From Minchul's view, if a shirt looks good, it's better to have at least 7 of them. Jia asks him to wait there and picks some outfits for Minchul. Meanwhile, Minchul sees a swimsuit. He goes to Jia and asks her, as she's picking out outfits for him, if he should choose a swimsuit for her for their next banana boat ride. Jia is surprised and gets embarrassed. So after shopping, they head to their first site and Jia is surprised that Minchul would be bold like this. Jia gets curious about what is going on in Minchul's mind. Jia goes to the changing room and wonders what kind of swimsuit Minchul picked for her. In the shop, there were some revealing swimsuits too. She takes a look in the bag and is shocked. On the beach, Minchul compliments Judah's swimsuit. It turns out to be a wetsuit, same as Minchul's. According to Minchul, this will be really comfortable in the cold water. Jia tells Minchul it's their first honeymoon and everyone is wearing bikinis and shorts. Jia tells Minchul it's embarrassing and this will not be enjoyable. But it is enjoyable. They enjoy their banana boat ride, eat food, take photos, and enjoy the day. In the evening, both walk by the side of the ocean and Jia is now too excited and checks if she missed anything. Minchul asks Jia if she is tired and suggests getting rest, but Jia wants to enjoy this because this trip cost them a lot of money. Minchul points out Jia's heel, which gets injured, and because of excitement, Jia didn't notice when this happened. Minchul gets down and asks Jia to get on his back to carry her. Jia gets embarrassed at first but gets on Minchul's back. They walk from the ocean side and Jia asks Minchul if she is heavy, but Minchul tells her it's good for a workout. This makes Jia angry and she stops Minchul by choking him. But in reality, Jia is feeling comfortable and relieved. She blows at Minchul's ear and starts laughing. Actually, she enjoyed her honeymoon. The sunset view looks amazing, so Jia decides to take a photo. At night, Jia checks all the photos they took and remembers her sister's advice from 5 years ago that couples always fight on their honeymoon, so he has to win. But to Jia, it doesn't happen. She had a great time on her trip and suddenly gets embarrassed remembering riding on Minchul's back. But suddenly she sees Minchul sleeping next to her with a drooling face. Her lickability meter instantly drops and without any worry, she goes to sleep. So after the honeymoon, both come back to their home. At home, Jia's mom has prepared a feast for the return of their daughter from the honeymoon. But Jia asks her mom about the boxes that are also in the hall. Jia thinks they are moving. But her mom tells her no, she is moving to Minchul's apartment. Jia is shocked and suddenly remembers she agreed to move into Minchul's apartment after marriage. Now her parents can get rid of her. So Jia moves to Minchul's house, and both sit beside a table with a pen and paper for both. Why do they have pen and paper? Actually, Jia's life has spun out because she said one wrong thing. As a result, she gets thrown out of the house, and upon arriving at Minchul's apartment, he asks to write a contract first. So the paper is about the checklist of the contract. Jia tosses the paper, which surprises Minchul, who is writing his rules. Jia takes some courage and decides to write her rule because it is what it is. Both finish writing rules and decide to flip the papers at once on the count of 3. Minchul's rules are quit smoking, don't bother the mouse, and say whatever is bothering you right away. Jia's rules are no entering her room, no forcing anything. If something is wrong, work it out through communication. Jia gets angry about the no smoking rule. Even her dad can't make her quit smoking. But Minchul can't stand the smell of smoking. Jia asks about what mouse is. Suddenly, Jia screams and tremblingly tells Minchul something is touching her foot. A cat brushes past Jia's ankle. This is Minchul's cat, whose name is Mouse. Jia is surprised by the weird term for a name, and Minchul explains that because cats like mice, that's why he named the cat Mouse. Jia tells Minchul if she likes chicken. Doesn't mean she is chicken Han instead of Jia Han. Minchul asks Jia if she likes cats. Jia thinks about it, but seeing the cat and Minchul's face, Jia has no choice and tells Minchul she likes them. Minchul gives Mouse to Jia to hold, and Jia is surprised that the cat is nice. Jia then asks Minchul what he would do if she had said she doesn't like cats. Would he kick her out? Minchul tells her he would simply get another room for her. Minchul tells her money is not a problem for him, and despite being a contract marriage, they are married, and Jia believed in him. Jia realizes Minchul is more serious about this marriage than she thinks. So they both agree on the terms and write the contract. The final terms are no coming inside for at least 10 minutes after smoking, no bothering Mouse, no entering the other's room without permission, no forcing anything, and must always solve issues through communication. Both read the contract, and Minchul tells Jia to add one more point. Upon asking, Minchul says that this contract marriage can be terminated by either party at any time. Actually, this was the first thing they talked about when they decided to make a contract marriage. So the contract is done and both sign it and put a thumbprint on it. Both are now looking forward to living with each other. So at night, Jia orders some furniture for herself. But tonight, she's going to sleep on a futon her mom gave her. Her first night living with someone else other than her family makes her nervous. Minchul is gaming in the next room and has to go to work tomorrow. Jia gets nervous and due to anxiety, she cannot sleep. But after a few minutes, she sleeps like a rock. The next morning, Jia wakes up to the sound of cooking. Yes, Minchul is cooking. Jia is surprised that Minchul can cook. She gets impressed and watches him cooking. Suddenly, Minchul puts the chicken and vegetables together and blends them. Minchul's healthy chicken breast smoothie is ready. Minchul tells Jia this is breakfast. Jia is hesitant at first but drinks all of it in one go. The taste is awful. Jia asks Minchul for anything else and gets excited when Minchul tells her he has something else. Minchul hands Jia a protein bar. Jia tosses the bar and asks Minchul to stop kidding and give her real food. Jia blames Minchul, saying he's going to eat a delicious meal at work all by himself. That's why there is no proper breakfast. But Minchul shows her the lunchbox he prepares for himself, which is again a healthy meal. Jia rushes to the fridge to check if there is something else to eat, but the fridge is also filled with Minchul's meals like chicken and sweet potatoes. This shocks Jia, and now she is regretting her mom's cooking. Suddenly, Minchul asks her to just go out and get breakfast. This surprises Jia, wondering if she is really allowed to. Minchul tells her the breakfast he made is for her. She is free to eat whatever she wants. She doesn't need to eat the same as him. Jia gets relief and stands up. Actually, Jia's mom always forced them to eat together as a family, which is why this became her habit. Minchul gets ready to go to work. Jia mocks Minchul, saying he looks jealous because she is staying at home. Minchul just stares at her and Jia tells him she will get a job soon. He doesn't have to nag about a job on their first morning, and tells him to have a nice day and will see him at dinner. Just as Minchul leaves, Jia makes a smirk face and quickly announces that she is going to be jobless for as long as she can, meaning as long as her bank account runs dry. On the other hand, Minchul knocks on the window of the car of his subordinate at work, Sang-yu, who comes to pick up Minchul for work. Sang-yu tells Minchul he was surprised when Minchul told him he was going on vacation for 10 days and even sent Sang-yu a box of mangoes from his trip through express delivery. While talking, Sang-yu sees Minchul smiling and asks him the reason because he has never seen him smile before. Minchul remembers when Jia told him to have a nice day and to get home early for dinner. Minchul tells Sang-yu it's nice to have someone waiting for you at home. This shocks Sang-yu. He asks who is waiting for him at home. Minchul tells him about his wife. This shocks him even more. Sang-yu asks if he is talking about the game, but Minchul tells him he got married last week and even has pictures as proof. Suddenly, someone else shouts from the back seat, asking who did what with whom. In the office, everyone congratulates Minchul and Minchul gives souvenirs to everyone. Sang-yu and the girl from earlier also watch this from apart. Sang-yu, seeing the girl, makes excuses that he has work he needs to finish today and is about to go. But the girl grabs his shoulder and asks him to talk for a second. On the roof, she squeezes Sang-yu's neck because he told her that Minchul doesn't like anyone. This girl is Sayan, the 33-year-old and a senior of Minchul at work. She is the one who is most shocked after hearing the news of Minchul's marriage. So after all this, Sang-yu is also very surprised that a guy like Minchul got married in just a week. He tells Sayan that just a week ago, Minchul was a guy who was only interested in the gym, and not only does he not see women, but he doesn't see anyone. Sayan agrees with it. So let's take a brief introduction to manager Sayan's life story. Currently, Sayan is 33, single, and a manager at a tech company. She is an engineering goddess's child genius and the most beautiful girl in her parents' eyes. Her ideal type is a moderately okay guy. At the age of 9, her type was tall, handsome, sweet, and a mature guy. At the age of 16, moderately okay meant at least taller than her, kind of smart, and someone who kind of gets her. At the age of 22, moderately okay meant not something special, just someone special she can depend on. At the age of 33, no need to say anything. And just like that, she lived 32 years of her life as a single. All she needs is someone who is decent and can have a good conversation with her. In her eyes, someone like Minchul. So she asked Sang-yu because he was Minchul's subordinate and a good friend. He replied to her to leave everything to him and just start looking for a wedding venue. Sang-yu and Sayan actually went to the same university. And Sang-yu is the company's Cupid whose hobby is setting up people and getting a free meal in return. So Sayan's dream of being a blushing bride in May and having 2 kids is now shattered. She tries to look strong in front of Sang-yu but can't stop her tears. After work, Minchul walks home while looking at his mobile phone. Sang-yu and Sayan follow him. Both are in doubt about Minchul's marriage and decide to follow him. Suddenly, they hear Minchul saying hello to someone. Sayan is now wondering what type of woman Minchul likes. Meanwhile, an angry Jia is sitting outside and smoking. Jia's appearance shocks Sayan. Seeing Jia outside, Minchul says hello, but Jia's angry stare makes him wonder what happened. Jia is angry. Sang-yu and Sayan are also watching this, and Sayan gets panicked seeing Minchul's girl type. But Sang-yu somehow makes her calm and both start peeking again. Jia is angry because Minchul didn't call her to tell her he would be late tonight. She waited for him for dinner. But Minchul assumes she didn't want to eat with him because of the whole breakfast thing. But Jia is not angry about dinner, but about him not calling. Just then, Minchul asks her if he is allowed to call. This surprises Jia. Minchul reveals he thought Jia doesn't like him calling her. But Jia is surprised because she never said that. So Minchul reveals that in 5th grade she told him not to call her. Jia is confused because back then they were calling through house phones. Minchul reminds her that in 5th grade, whenever he called her and asked her to come to his place to play games, but Jia doesn't remember this. Suddenly, Jia spots someone in the back. Sang-yu and Sayan quickly hide, barely safe. So Minchul once again asks her if he's allowed to call her, and Jia allows it while laughing. Seeing Jia, Sangyu thinks she looks familiar but doesn't remember her. At home, while brushing her teeth, Jia is surprised that Minchul has remembered her words even from 5th grade. By the way, the dinner was also Minchul's special chicken smoothie. At bedtime, Jia remembers when she stopped hanging out with Minchul and remembers her memories from back then. Minchul and Jia were very close when they were young. Both were the same age, lived in the same building, and went to the same preschool. Jia often came to Minchul's place to play games. At that age, Jia got teased just for hanging out with Minchul. And that was the time when Minchul called Jia for a new game and asked her to come to his home, and Jia rejected him. Both went to the same middle school, but Jia ignored him in middle school. Now she gets embarrassed remembering all this. Jia checks her phone and realizes Minchul never calls her, just texted her before the wedding. Jia now regrets what she did back then and wonders if she should text him sorry. Just then, Minchul sends her a text. Minchul orders hot chicken flaming feet for Jia, which is her favorite food. Jia suddenly bursts into Minchul's room. Minchul reminds her she was the one who added a clause of knocking before entering. Jia knocks on the door and shows Minchul clause 5 of their contract. It means Jia has an issue, and they need to talk. So they sit to talk while having food. Jia is happy having a beer. Minchul asks her what she wants to talk about and thinks he has done something wrong again, but Jia tells him he has done nothing wrong this time. In fact, she is angry that Minchul didn't order beer along with the chicken feast. Minchul is worried that she again has an issue with food, but Jia tells him actually she wanted them both to sit together and have a talk, which they haven't done since they got married. So she decides to sit and talk while having food. Jia fills a jug of beer and gives it to Minchul, asking him if he doesn't want to drink with her. Minchul instantly says no, creating an awkward situation for him. Jia asks him the reason, and Minchul flexes, saying he doesn't want to lose his gains. Jia realizes what she was thinking, offering beer to a guy who drinks shakes 3 times a day. But to Jia's surprise, Minchul brings his food to the table. Jia thinks he's going to drink with her, but Minchul tells her he can't drink with her. But at least he can clink her glass and spend some time together. Minchul asks Jia what she wants to talk about. Jia realizes she didn't think about it when she asked him to drink with her, but she decides to somehow figure it out during the conversation. Both drinks. After 2 hours, Jia is fully drunk and laughs at Minchul, reminding him of his old memories when he was a crying baby. Minchul gets nervous and denies this. Soon Jia falls asleep and remembers the days when she and Minchul played games together. Minchul tries to wake Jia by calling her name, but Jia is now in a deep sleep. Minchul goes near Jia's ear and suddenly Jia wakes up screaming. Actually, Minchul turned on the alarm near her ear and tells her to go to her room, otherwise she will get a cold. Minchul starts cleaning. Just then, Jia tells Minchul to bring his ear near to her. Unexpectedly, Jia grabs Minchul's glasses and puts them on. Minchul tries to get them back and chases her, but Jia runs into the room and tells him she always wanted to see him without glasses because he looks ugly with those glasses. In an attempt to take his glasses back, Minchul does a wall slam to Jia. Suddenly, Jia starts blushing, seeing Minchul without his glasses. Minchul now again asks her to give his glasses back, and Jia remains still shocked. With a blushing face, Jia puts his glasses back and dashes to her room. In her room, Jia's heart starts pounding and she gets embarrassed remembering Minchul without glasses. The next morning, Minchul gets ready to go to work and feels someone is looking at him. Jia is staring at him, thinking he is the same old Minchul. Minchul asks her why she is staring at him, and Jia just ignores the question. Jia's rule is if you did something wrong, just admit and apologize. So she comes in front of Minchul and tries to say sorry but hesitates to speak. Suddenly she notices Moose and instead says, "I'm Meow with a cat pose." Minchul is shocked and so is Jia. At work, Minchul tells Sangyu about this incident. Sangyu asks Minchul if he has told this to Cyan, but Minchul tells him he saw Cyan in a bad mood so he doesn't share this with her. Sangyu asks Minchul to never tell anyone about these kinds of things except him because he has a doctrine of lovingly. By the way, Sangyu himself is single. Sangyu first thinks maybe his wife is trying to be cute or something similar. So Sangyu gives Minchul some advice on how to react to this situation. So after work, Minchul comes home. Jia has a fake smile on her face like she's trying to hide her embarrassment. Minchul remembers Sangyu's advice. The first rule is sympathy, and the second one is also sympathy. And if you don't know what to do, just nod or copy what she said. So Minchul also says Mao and poses. This shocks Jia. Something comes out of her mouth and General Jia collapses to the ground. The cause of death is embarrassment. Minchul is surprised, wondering if what Sangyu said is true, that Jia will like it if he does something like this. Jia instantly wakes up with embarrassment. She gets angry at Minchul and asks why he told other people about what happened in the morning. So this embarrassing cat incident becomes forever burned into their memory, and they end up adding another clause in their contract that whatever happens between them will be a secret. Minchul tries to ask Jia what she was trying to do with Mao, but seeing her angry, he leaves it as it is. After a few days, Soyun comes up with an idea: a housewarming party. At home, Minchul tells Jia about the party. He tells her she can say no, he is just telling her what the office colleagues said. Jia thinks for a moment and agrees to it. Mincheol again asks her if she is sure, and Jia says to do it. The next day, Jia bids farewell to Mincheol, who is going to work, and once again he asks Jia to reconsider her decision. Jia's answer remains the same. In reality, Jia wants to take revenge on Mincheol for the cat incident. Seeing Mincheol getting nervous makes her happy and relieved. Mincheol leaves the house with a smile. Seeing Mincheol smiling, Jia gets confused about why he is suddenly in a good mood. Now Jia thinks Mincheol is weak to requests. As proof, he drinks with Jia, but she forced him a little, and he is even wearing the same shirts Jia bought for him on their honeymoon. Jia thinks Mincheol will make an excuse at the office that his wife didn't want to have the party and starts blushing after thinking of herself as a wife, and she starts wondering what Mincheol refers to her as at work. Jia gets ready for preparations for the party. Right after 2 hours, she regretted this choice. She is on a call with her mom, who is telling her how to cook and makes a mess. Mincheol and his colleagues, including Sayan and Sangyu, come to Mincheol's house. Jia seems tired and welcomes everyone. Jia whispers in Mincheol's ear and says to be nice to her. Jia welcomes everybody, and surprisingly there are huge and delicious meals on the table, and everyone is surprised to see this. Mincheol is also surprised. Sangyu compliments the food while Jia pinches Mincheol not to say unnecessary words. After eating, everyone drinks, even Mincheol. Sangyu asks Soyeon if now she is satisfied that they both are married. Soyeon elbows Sangyu, meaning they have planned something else too. So Sangyu becomes the host of a game of questions. He will ask the couple questions. Jia is drunk and Mincheol gets nervous. Sangyu tells Jia and Mincheol the rules that he will ask questions from each member, and the couple has to answer them. The questions can be rude or they can be a request. Jia gives the oak signal in a drunk state. The question is from Sayan, actually a request. Sangyu is shocked to see her request. The request is for the two of them to kiss. Sangyu instantly skips this one and goes to the second question. Mincheol asks Jia if she's okay with it. What if they ask some touchy requests? Jia tells Mincheol they have to show them that they are a happy couple. This will be the least headache after all since they are legally married. So a temporary rule is added to the contract that since they are married, for peace in their relationship, they are allowed a certain degree of flexibility. So Sangyu asks the next question, which is from their assistant manager. When, where, and how did Mincheol propose to Jia? If they can't answer it, they have to drink a glass. Jia admits defeat and is about to drink a glass because they have never done a proposal thing in the first place. Suddenly, Mincheol reveals he was eating chicken breast in a smoking area and Jia proposed to him out of the blue. This shocks Jia. Now Mincheol doesn't have to drink a glass, but Jia, instead of answering, drinks a glass and stares at Mincheol, saying she will deal with him later. The next question is when and where was their first kiss? This again shocks Jia because at their wedding, Jia asked Mincheol just to pretend. Otherwise, she'll kill him. That's why they just pretended and never kissed. Jia drinks the glass and Mincheol reveals they kissed when they were 5 years old in kindergarten. This shocks Jia. While others enjoy the scene, Mincheol reminds her in kindergarten her nickname was Smooching Ghost because she just went around kissing anyone. This also angers Jia. After the party, everyone says their farewells, including Mincheol. After saying those things, he knows what's coming for him. Jia drags him back. Sayan is leaving with Sangyu. On their way back, Sangyu admits to Sayan that their answers and acts seem fake. Sangyu advises Sayan they should dig deeper to figure out the reality. But Sayan says no need for it. She is fine. This sudden drop shocks Sangyu. Sangyu asks her why she is giving up now because she was the one who told him to set up all this plan. Sayan tells him, seeing them, she realizes that isn't a place where someone like her could force their way into, and smiles. Seeing her, Sangyu suddenly makes a U-turn. Upon asking, he tells her he feels like having a drink and asks Sayan to accompany him. This makes Sayan relieved. She also becomes excited and both go for a drink. The next morning, both wake up in a hotel together. Will this be the start of a new love? Click the video for the next part. If it's not uploaded yet, I will upload it soon. Please like the video and subscribe so when I upload the next one, you get a notification.